The house that answered back. I found the house on a road that wasn't on any map. That sounds like the beginning of a ghost story, and I guess it is, but at the time it felt more like a mistake, a missed turn, a glitch in my GPS. One of those things you blame on bad service, bad weather, or being tired enough to see shapes where there aren't any. I had been driving for almost 6 hours through northern Nevada, cutting across desert highways that stretched so straight they made the world feel unfinished. No gas stations, no streetlights, no cars for miles. Just blacktop, sagebrush, and mountains sitting in the distance like sleeping animals. My phone had lost service an hour earlier. The sky had gone from gold to purple to the kind of black that doesn't look like night so much as the absence of everything. My headlights carved out a narrow tunnel ahead of me, and everything outside that tunnel might as well have been gone. I was on my way to a small town called Mercer Creek to clean out my uncle's storage unit. Uncle Ray wasn't really my uncle. He had been my dad's closest friend, the kind of guy who came to birthdays, taught me how to change a tire, and always smelled like cigarettes and peppermint gum. When he died, he left me a voicemail that made no sense. It came 3 days after his funeral. At first, I thought it was some delayed message the phone company had coughed up late. His voice was weak, buried under static. "Don't take the highway after dark," he said. "If you see the porch light, keep driving. Don't stop. It knows names now." Then the message ended. I listened to it 6 times. Then I deleted it. I told myself grief does weird things. Technology does weird things. Dead men do not leave warnings. So, when I missed my turn, I was already annoyed, already tired, already trying not to think about that voicemail. The GPS had frozen on a grey screen. Then it flickered and displayed a route I had never seen before. County Road 18. Estimated arrival, 12 minutes. I didn't remember turning onto it. 1 second I was on the highway, the next I was rattling down a narrow road lined with dead grass and leaning fence posts. The pavement gave way to gravel, the gravel gave way to dirt. My headlights caught shapes that looked like mailboxes, but when I passed them, they were just wooden posts with no numbers. I should have turned around. I know that now. But exhaustion has a way of making bad decisions feel practical. The road curved, and there it was. A 2-story farmhouse sitting alone in the desert, where no farmhouse had any right to be. It had white siding gone grey with age, black windows, and a wraparound porch that sagged in the middle like a tired mouth. A single yellow porch light burned beside the front door. My stomach tightened. If you see the porch light, keep driving. I hit the brakes. Dust rolled past my headlights. For a moment, the house just sat there. Then my phone buzzed in the cup holder. No service. No bars. But a call was coming through. The screen said, "Uncle Ray." I didn't answer. The phone kept vibrating. I stared at the house, at that yellow porch light humming in the dark, and felt something I hadn't felt since I was a kid waking up from a nightmare. The absolute certainty that something was watching me. I put the car in reverse. That was when the engine died. Not stalled. Died. The headlights went black. The dashboard blinked out. The phone stopped buzzing. For 2 seconds, I sat in perfect darkness. Then the porch light flickered. Once. Twice. 3 times. A voice came from my phone, even though the call had disappeared. It was Uncle Ray. "You stopped." I grabbed the phone and threw it onto the passenger seat like it had burned me. The porch light went steady again. I turned the key. Nothing. Again. Nothing. The air inside the car began to feel thin, too warm. I opened the door because I suddenly needed to hear something other than my own breathing. The desert was silent. No bugs. No wind. No distant traffic. Just the porch light buzzing. I stepped out. The dirt beneath my shoes was powdery and soft. It smelled like old rain, even though the sky was clear. My car sat dead behind me, a dark shape in a darker world. I told myself I only had two choices: stay in the car until morning, or go to the house and ask for help. I laughed when I thought that. Ask who? There were no other cars, no smoke from a chimney, no movement behind the windows. But then I noticed something on the porch. A person, sitting in a rocking chair. I hadn't seen them before. They were still. Too still. The chair didn't move. I took one step closer. Hello? My voice sounded small. The person didn't answer. I walked toward the porch, slow enough that every part of me had time to beg the rest of me to stop. The old steps creaked under my weight. The porch boards bowed like they were soft from rot. The person in the rocking chair was covered with a quilt. Only their hands showed. Long fingers, grey skin, a wedding ring. I leaned closer. The head beneath the quilt turned toward me. Not fast. Not dramatically. Just enough for me to see a face hidden in the shadow under the porch roof. It was my Uncle Ray. Not as he had looked in life. Not even as he had looked in the casket. His face was pale and loose, his eyes cloudy, his lips cracked open around teeth that looked too long. But it was him. His dead eyes looked up at me, and he whispered, "You weren't supposed to stop." I stumbled backward, hit the porch railing, and nearly went over it. The figure collapsed, not like a person fainting, like an empty coat. The quilt sank into the chair, the hands folded inward and disappeared. There was nothing beneath it. The front door opened, just a few inches. Warm yellow light spilled across the porch. From inside the house, a woman's voice called out, "Brandon?" I froze, because she didn't just say my name. She said it like my mother used to. Not the way most people say it. Not casual. Not flat. She said it with that half-warning, half-loving tone she used when I was a kid and had done something stupid but not unforgivable. "Brandon, honey, come inside." My throat closed. My mother had been dead for years. I should have run. Instead, I stared at the open door. There are some voices that bypass your brain completely. They go straight into the softest part of you, the part that still wants comfort, the part that still believes the people you lost might be waiting somewhere, just out of sight. I whispered, "Mom?" The door opened wider. Inside, the house looked clean. That was the strangest thing. The outside was old and dying, but the inside glowed with warmth. A hallway with faded wallpaper, a small table with a glass lamp, family photos hanging in crooked frames, the smell of cinnamon and coffee. I stepped inside. The door closed behind me. Not slammed, just clicked, like it had been expecting me. "Mum?" No answer. The hallway stretched ahead farther than the house should have allowed. At the end was a kitchen glowing with soft light. I walked toward it. Every floorboard creaked exactly one step after mine. Not under my foot. Behind me? I stopped. The creaking stopped. I turned. The hallway was empty. My hands started to shake. "Hello?" From the kitchen, my mother's voice answered, "In here." I kept walking. The kitchen looked like ours had when I was 8 years old. Not similar. The same. The yellow curtains. The chipped blue mug by the sink. The magnet shaped like a strawberry on the refrigerator. Even the calendar on the wall. August 2002. My chest hurt. At the kitchen table sat 3 plates. One for me. One for my mother. One for someone else. The chair across from mine was pulled out. Steam rose from the plate. Meatloaf, mashed potatoes, green beans, my favorite childhood dinner. There was a note beside the fork. "Eat before it gets cold." I backed away. The refrigerator door was covered in photos. Some I recognized. Me missing 2 front teeth. Me holding a baseball bat. My mum in the backyard laughing at something out of frame. Then I saw photos I did not recognize. Photos of me driving that night. My car on the highway, my hands on the steering wheel, my face lit by the GPS, the farmhouse in my headlights, me standing on the porch, me opening the front door. The newest photo was still glossy wet. It showed me standing in the kitchen, staring at the refrigerator. Behind me, a dark figure stood in the hallway. I spun around. Nothing. The house creaked. Then, somewhere upstairs, a door opened. A child laughed. It was my laugh. Not a laugh like mine. Mine. A little boy's laugh, high and breathless. I ran to the front door. The hallway had changed. The front door was gone. In its place was another hallway, longer than before, lined with doors on both sides. Each door had a name carved into it. Not written. Carved. Raymond. Elaine. Thomas. Mara. My mother's name. My father's name. Names I knew. Names I didn't. At the very end of the hall was one door with my name on it. Brandon. The letters looked freshly cut. Wood dust sat on the floor beneath them. Something knocked from the other side. 3 slow knocks. Then my own voice whispered from behind the door, "Don't open it." I stood there, unable to breathe. Another knock. My voice again, closer. "Don't open it, no matter what it says." Then from right behind me, my mother said, "He always was dramatic." I turned. She stood in the kitchen doorway. At least, it looked like her. She wore the green sweater I remembered. Her hair was the same, her smile was the same. But her eyes were wrong. They were too bright, too wet, like someone had polished them. "Mum?" I said. She smiled wider. "Oh, sweetheart, you look so tired." Every part of me wanted to believe. That was the cruelest part. The house didn't show me a monster. It showed me exactly what I missed. She stepped closer. I stepped back. Her smile twitched. "Don't be scared. You're not her." The smile stayed, but her eyes changed. Something moved behind them, like a shadow passing under ice. "Of course I am." "No." The lights flickered. For 1 second, the kitchen disappeared. The wallpaper peeled. The table rotted. The food on the plates turned black and wet. The woman in front of me was not my mother, but something wearing the memory of her like a mask. Then the light steadied. She was my mother again. She tilted her head. "You shouldn't have deleted Ray's message." My blood went cold. "How do you know that?" The thing smiled. "This house remembers what people try to throw away." From upstairs, the child laughed again. Then he screamed. I ran. Not toward the front door, because there wasn't one. I ran down the hallway of names. Doors shook as I passed. Voices called from behind them. Some begged. Some prayed. Some laughed. One voice screamed, "It isn't a house!" Another sobbed, "I fed it my name." A door on my left flew open. Inside was a hospital room. My Uncle Ray lay in a bed, grey and sweating. Machines beeped beside him. His eyes rolled toward me. "Ray?" He lifted a trembling hand. "Don't listen to the voices," he rasped. "It doesn't know the dead. It knows what you remember." Something under his blanket moved. Long fingers pressed up from beneath the sheet. Ray's eyes widened. "Run." The blanket collapsed inward. His body folded like paper, sucked down into the mattress. I slammed the door. The hallway stretched longer. My name waited at the end. The knocking had stopped. That was worse. I tried the next door. Locked. Another. Locked. Another. It opened. Cold air hit me. I was standing in my childhood bedroom. Posters on the wall. Toys on the floor. Moonlight through the blinds. On the bed sat a little boy in pajamas. Me. 8 years old. He looked up. His eyes were red from crying. "You're late," he said. I couldn't move. The room smelled like dust and laundry detergent, the exact smell of being small and scared in the middle of the night. "What is this?" I whispered. The boy hugged his knees. "You always leave me here." "No, I don't." "Yes, you do." Behind him, the closet door creaked open. A strip of black appeared. The boy looked at it and began to tremble. I told Mom there was something in there. She said it was just clothes. Something inside the closet breathed. A wet, heavy inhale. The boy whispered. It learned her voice first. The closet door opened wider. Inside was not clothes. Inside was a deep hallway of meat-colored walls, pulsing softly in the dark. The boy began to cry. "It wants you to come closer." I backed toward the bedroom door. The boy stared at me. "If you leave me again, it gets to keep me." I knew it was a trick. I knew that. But he looked so real, so small, so afraid. The thing in the closet whispered in my mother's voice, "Brandon, come here." The boy covered his ears. "Please," he said. I stepped toward him. The floor softened under my foot. The room seemed to breathe. I grabbed the boy's arm. His skin was cold. Too cold. He looked up at me and smiled. Not like a child. Like something proud of itself. His fingers clamped around my wrist. "You opened the wrong door," he said. The bedroom folded in half. The walls snapped inward. The ceiling dropped. I tore free and threw myself through the door just as the room crushed itself flat behind me. I hit the hallway floor. The door vanished. Now only one door remained. Mine. Brandon. The wood bulged outward as if something large pressed against it from the other side. A voice spoke through the crack. My voice. Older, weak, terrified. "Listen to me. The house cannot kill you unless you answer." I crawled backward. The voice continued. "It will use names, questions, memories. It needs you to respond. It needs you to confirm you are you." From behind me, my mother's voice screamed, "Brandon!" I bit my tongue to keep from answering. The door with my name rattled. My own voice whispered, "Good, don't answer." The hallway lights went out one by one. Darkness rushed toward me. I ran again, silent this time, refusing every voice that called after me. My father, my wife, old friends, people I hadn't thought about in years. "Hey, buddy, where are you going? Please help me. Don't leave." Every voice was bait. Every name was a hook. The hallway ended at a staircase leading down. I took it. The basement smelled like wet wood and rust. A single bulb swung from the ceiling. Under it was a workbench covered in old cassette tapes, notebooks, Polaroids, and driver's licenses. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Each license had the eyes scratched out. Names were written on the walls in black paint, layered over each other until the concrete looked diseased. In the center of the basement was an old answering machine. Its red light blinked. One new message. I should have ignored it. But beside the machine was Uncle Ray's wallet. And on top of it, a note in his handwriting. "Play it only if it lets you this far." My hands hovered over the button. Then I pressed play. Ray's voice filled the basement. "If you're hearing this, then it already has part of you. I'm sorry. I thought I could study it. I thought I could map it, burn it, trap it, but it isn't walls and wood. The house is just the mouth." Static. Then Ray coughed. "It feeds on recognition, names, memories, grief, regret. Every time you answer, every time you say yes to what it shows you, it gets clearer, stronger. It builds rooms from what hurts you." Something moved upstairs. Slow footsteps. Ray's recording continued. "There is one way out. In the basement wall, behind the names, there's a door. It won't look like one. You have to find the name it wrote first, the first person who answered. Scratch it out, and the house forgets how to hold itself together. The footsteps reached the top of the basement stairs. Ray's voice dropped to a whisper, but it won't let you leave with your own name. Don't speak it. Don't think it if you can help it. And whatever comes down those stairs, the tape warped. Ray's voice became my mother's. Invite it in. The machine clicked off. The basement door opened. The woman who looked like my mother stood at the top of the stairs. She did not smile now. Her face sagged at the edges, like the expression was too heavy to hold. "You've been rude," she said. I said nothing. She stepped down one stair. "You came into my house." Another stair. Ate my air. Another. Warped my halls. The bulb swung harder. I grabbed a screwdriver from the workbench. She laughed in my mother's voice. "What are you going to do with that?" I said nothing. Her face twitched. "Answer me." I backed toward the wall of names. She came down faster. "Answer me." I searched the names, scraping at the black paint with my fingers. Hundreds of names. Thousands. Raymond, Paul, Alice, June, Mark, Evelyn. The thing reached the basement floor. It was taller now. My mother's body stretched in pieces, limbs lengthening, neck pulling upward, mouth splitting wider than any human mouth should. "Say your name," it whispered. I scraped harder. Paint flaked under my nails. The screwdriver shook in my hand. I didn't know what I was looking for until I saw it. At the very bottom of the wall, almost hidden behind newer names, carved into the concrete instead of painted, was a single word. Mercy. Not a name. A plea. I remembered something Ray once told me when I was a kid. The oldest towns in Nevada were full of stories. Mining camps, lost families, houses built where people disappeared. Mercy wasn't a person. Mercy was what the first victim had begged for. And the house had answered. The thing lunged. I drove the screwdriver into the word and dragged it across the concrete. The basement screamed. Not the creature. The basement. The walls flexed outward. The floor rolled under me. Names peeled away from the concrete like dead skin. The thing wearing my mother shrieked, but underneath that sound were hundreds of other voices screaming with it. I kept scratching. Mercy became M-R-C-Y, then M-C, then nothing. The wall cracked. Behind it was a door. Small, rotten, barely big enough for a person to crawl through. A cold wind blew from the other side. The creature grabbed my ankle. Its fingers burned like ice. My mother's face slid down its skull, revealing something underneath that had no face at all, just a wet hollow where features should be. It spoke in every voice I had heard. "Don't leave us." I kicked it in the throat and crawled through the little door. For a moment, I was nowhere. Not outside. Not inside. Just in a dark space filled with whispering. Names drifted around me like insects. Some I knew. Most I didn't. Then I heard my own name. Not spoken by the house. Spoken by me. A memory. My own voice as a child. "My name is Brandon." The dark tightened. I clamped my hands over my ears and crawled faster. The passage narrowed. Splinters tore my shirt. Something behind me laughed in Ray's voice. Too late. My hand hit dirt. Then cold air. I pulled myself out and collapsed onto the ground. I was outside. The farmhouse stood behind me. But it no longer looked like a farmhouse. Not really. The walls sagged inward. The windows blinked. The porch boards curled like teeth. The entire structure pulsed under the yellow porch light. My car sat where I left it. The driver's door was open. The engine was running. The headlights shone down the dirt road. I staggered toward it. Behind me, the house groaned. The porch light flickered wildly. The front door opened. Every person I had ever loved stood inside. My mother, my father, Uncle Ray, friends, family, all of them smiling, all of them crying, all of them reaching for me. My mother stepped onto the porch. "Please," she said, "just say goodbye." I stopped. That was all I had ever wanted. A goodbye. A real one. Not a hospital room. Not a funeral. Not a voicemail after the fact. Just one last moment where I could say the thing grief never lets you finish saying. I opened my mouth. The porch light burned brighter. My mother smiled. The shape behind her opened its mouth too. Waiting. I shut my mouth, got into the car, and drove. The house screamed behind me. The dirt road shook so violently I thought the car would flip. Shapes ran beside the windows, matching my speed. Hands slapped the glass. Voices shouted my name. I kept my eyes forward. The GPS screen flickered on. No route, no map, just one sentence. "Who are you?" I didn't answer. The road stretched forever. Then, suddenly, pavement. The highway. Streetlights in the distance. My phone exploded with signal. Missed calls. Texts. Voicemails. I didn't stop driving until the sun came up. At a gas station outside Reno, I finally looked in the mirror. My hair had gone grey at the temples. My hands were covered in dried blood from scratching at the wall. And on my wrist, where the child version of me had grabbed me, there was a bruise shaped like 5 small fingers. I went to Mercer Creek anyway. I don't know why. Maybe because I needed proof. Maybe because some stupid part of me still believed there was an explanation waiting inside that storage unit. Ray's unit was near the back of the facility. Inside were boxes of notebooks, maps, tapes, and newspaper clippings. All about disappearances. Families found wandering highways with no memory. Cars discovered running in the desert with doors open. Children who came home speaking in voices that weren't theirs. And one photograph. Black and white. Taken in 1891. A farmhouse in the middle of nowhere. A porch light burning beside the door. On the back, Ray had written, "It moves every few years. Always near a road, always after dark. It appears to the tired, the grieving, the lost." Below that, in shakier handwriting, "It called me yesterday using my mother's voice." At the bottom of the box was one cassette tape labeled, "For Brandon, if he stops." I almost didn't play it. I wish I hadn't. Ray's voice came through, clearer than before. "I'm sorry," he said. "I tried to warn you. If you're hearing this, it means you made it out. That's good, but listen carefully. Getting out isn't the same as leaving." A long pause. "It doesn't need the house once it knows your voice." The tape clicked. Static filled the unit. Then another voice spoke. Mine. Not from the past. Not from any memory. My voice, whispering from the tape. "Brandon?" I dropped it. The tape kept playing. "Are you there?" I backed out of the storage unit and slammed the door. For 3 weeks, nothing happened. I slept with the lights on. I ignored unknown calls. I avoided mirrors at night. Eventually, fear became routine, and routine became almost normal. Then one evening, I came home and found my porch light on. I never used it. I stood in the driveway, staring at that warm yellow glow. My phone buzzed. Unknown caller. I let it ring. Then a voicemail appeared. I didn't play it. I deleted it. Another appeared. Deleted. Another. Deleted. Then my phone screen went black. White letters appeared. "Please answer." I threw the phone into the street. That night, I heard my mother in the hallway. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just her voice outside my bedroom door. "Brandon, honey?" I held my breath. The doorknob turned. Slowly. Back and forth. Locked. Brandon? I covered my mouth. The voice changed. Uncle Ray. You should have scratched out your own name. Then my own voice. You can't stay quiet forever. It has been 6 months now. I don't answer unknown numbers. I don't say my name out loud. I don't respond when someone calls from another room unless I can see their face. I sleep during the day when I can. At night, I hear the porch light buzzing even when it's off. Sometimes I wake up standing at my front door with my hand on the lock. Sometimes there is dirt on my shoes. Sometimes my phone shows locations I don't remember visiting. County roads, empty lots, dead-end streets outside small towns. And once, last week, I found a photograph taped to my refrigerator. It showed my house from the street. My bedroom light was on. I was visible in the window, asleep. On the porch below, someone sat in a rocking chair under a quilt. Only their hands showed. Long fingers. Grey skin. A wedding ring. On the back of the photo, written in my uncle's handwriting, were 4 words. It misses your voice. So if you're listening to this, remember something. If you're driving late at night and your GPS reroutes you down a road you don't recognize, don't take it. If your car dies in front of a house that should not be there, stay inside. If the porch light turns on, don't look at the windows. And if someone you love calls your name from inside, don't answer. Because some houses are not haunted by the dead. Some houses are hungry. And this one has learned how to knock.